A wise man once asked a question. He asked, how can you know where you're going to when you do not know where you're coming from? You see, this question reinforces the importance of history, or rather, the importance of the knowledge of history as a tool for the enhancement of enlightenment as regards progress and development. Now, as Africans, as Nigerians, as Niger Deltans, it is imperative that we know our history, because there are schools of thought that believe that one of the biggest problems plaguing Africa is the lack of information, the necessary information required to take us to the next level. Ladies and gentlemen, in this era of information and communication, who better to tell us our history than someone who was actually there himself? As a member of several political groups, several struggles, several social and conscious groups that gave birth to the identification and the recognition of the southern minorities. Ladies and gentlemen, Chief Dr. Akubo has just completed a book he titled The Niger Delta Briefs. This is basically a historical perspective on the Niger Delta, a custodian of knowledge, a wealth of information that would shock even the greatest historians. Ladies and gentlemen, we present to you Chief Dr. M.T. Akubo.
I was born in Abonima, mid-July 1934. I went to primary school there, PCM school, but left early because of the movement of my parents who were teaching or cleric of the Anglican Communion. But I moved from there to Ehamufu, it's near Nsukka, still primary. You know, then at the end of World War II, I was brought back to to the Niger Delta, to Tombia, which is the actual, I would say, the location of my father's ancestors.
I just have to say that my husband, Dr. M.T. Akubo, is a creative person. As a medical doctor, even when he was in school, in medical school, he was in the Thinkers Club, you know, where they think, where they reason. He was writing poems, you know, and then publishing at that time. So it has been part of him. It has been part of him. And as he was coming up, as even with his medical practice and everything, he was so concerned about the setup, the states, the people, the youths, and the elders. So they used to have study groups. And I think most of these things emanated from the study group that they started even in Rivers State immediately after the war.
Well, Dr. Akubo is, for me, a legend because the ideas he has, even at this age, so much creativity in him. He's not living in the past, he's even living in the future right now. When you discuss with him, you will know what potential God had put inside him.
I can tell you without an iota of a doubt that this book will blow you away. The audacity of the statements in here, the claims, the information, the controversial statements, the controversial events that you probably never heard about in any of your history books. The news never carried some of these issues. The news never spoke about any of these events. They would just totally blow you away. And now the question comes, what gives Dr. M.T. Akubo the credibility to make these statements? Well, I'd have you know that Dr. M.T. Akubo has been a key player in the history of Nigeria. He served as the first petroleum minister of the newly created Petroleum Ministry of Nigeria. This among several other notable positions, both state and federal.
He had been everywhere. You name it, whatever position available in government, he had occupied in one way or the other.
Dr. M.T. Akubo also had first-hand, one-on-one interactions and communications with notable key leaders from the Niger Delta and Nigeria in general. I'm talking about the likes of the late President Chief Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, the late Murtala Muhammad, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, and a host of others. Ladies and gentlemen, I also have you know that he is a recipient of the award of Commander of the Order of the Niger. He's fondly known as the encyclopedia of the family by family members. Let us allow him to be our encyclopedia. The Niger Delta Brief, ladies and gentlemen.
You know, at school, secondary school, we used to have these so-called tribal unions, you know, a jaw. Then it was pure, no state matter, tribe. I'm not sure that there was no Igbo as such, Igbo union. But there used to be groups, you know. You notice these things on weekends, you know, they come out in traditional attires, take photographs, eat, feast themselves. But there were groups, for instance, the Anambra group was separate from the Owerri group. And the few we had from that time, it was Midwest. People like Amu Lawrence, that is. He too became, petroleum minister in Nigeria. And so we had an Ejo group, and Ken Sorogowa joined when he came. There was no other group he could belong to. And he thought he could belong to. Later we realized that it was because he didn't want to be recognized as any other group anyway. Because the nearest group to us at that time could have been Igbo.
I bet like me you'd like to know what really transpired between Ken Saro-Wiwa, the Mossop Group, and the Nigerian government. Well, there's more information within the book. I bet you didn't know that Nnamdi Azikiwe once didn't consider himself an Igbo man. No, I bet you didn't know that. Well, there's more information on that within the book.
But the person who enlightened me, I'm digressing a bit now, was Zik himself. When I became his admirer, and I was also involved in student struggle and all that. So after rioting and so on, he came to the university. He was then virtually head of state, and he was staying at Ikejani's place in Ibadan. He did not stay in any government guest house. And he explained to us that Ikejani had been his friend since they were in the US and Canada. And he was the one that, at that time, as visitor to the University College, actually appointed Ikejani as the professor of pathology. So he explained that they, Onisha people, you should not take undue notice of this, or that they never considered themselves to be Igbos. And that, so when they realized that people like us, Amu, Sifan Mapa, Florence Mapa, Ndupu, a lot of us at that time, who were from Uguta, claimed that they were Kalabari people. At least that they were not Igbos. So he explained to me that they are not. And that he himself, his mother, his father, his wife, they are all Ndoni people. And that's Zig, Nnamdi Azikiwe. Are you following? Yes.
I bet, like me, you always thought that Isaac Adakaboro was the sole founder of the Niger Delta struggle. Well, he wasn't.
It was not actually a Dakaboro's struggle.
A very bold statement, don't you think? Well, there's more information about that within the book.
I believe and I pray that people will be touched by this book and they will be able to be motivated by it and they'll be able to struggle. You know, a man on this world, we are here to struggle. It's a struggle to survive. And if you just sit down and then you will get lost. You know, if you say this is what you want to do at this age, by the time you are turning 40, 50, you have already lost so many of your youthful years. And by the time you get to 50, you're already gone. 60, we'll be now looking for people to, but we don't pray for our youths to be that. We want them to study, read, be enlightened, and struggle to become what their parents have become and take over from them. There must be handing over of baton to our.
I'll use this medium to invite all well-meaning Niger Delta to have a copy of the book, especially the youths who don't even know anything about history now. I'm appealing to them to go online and get a copy of the book. It will be very beneficial to them and beneficial not to just them, to generations that will come, because history does not change. If we have the books, this is why it's important we write books, because when these people are gone, the material is gone. But now that it's written in the form of a book, it will be in our library. And I'm appealing to all Niger Delta people and non-Niger Delta people to have a copy each. Thank you.
We should seek knowledge, mind power, and take our discovered destiny into our own hands. It takes time to become a person, to be conscious of yourself. But almost everybody can do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I can't begin to say enough about this book. It is worth the read, every page, every line, every paragraph. So ladies and gentlemen, I implore you to go get a copy of this book. I believe that the information within this book deserves to be given to every Niger Delta youth, every Niger Delta person alive today, and for posterity as well. I believe that this book should be in every school, every university, every library, every platform available to the Niger Delta people and to Nigerians and Africans in general, because the information within here is required, is necessary, would help to enhance the enlightenment that we require to take us to the next level of our progress and our development as a people. Ladies and gentlemen, the Niger Delta Briefs, a perspective on the Niger Delta.